High above the quiet human colony on the desert planet of Arcanes, the night sky suddenly changed. A bright streak of fire tore across the darkness like a falling star. At first the colonists thought it was only a meteor, but the light moved strangely, shaking and turning in the sky, as if it was struggling to stay in the air. Then a loud explosion echoed across the desert, and a massive object crashed beyond the hills, sending a wave of dust and fire into the night. Inside the colony, people rushed outside their homes and looked toward the burning horizon. Some were afraid, some were curious, and many whispered the same word: alien ship. Within minutes, the human security team moved toward the crash site, their vehicles cutting across the sand under the pale moonlight. Among them was Dr. Ethan Carter, the colony's chief medical officer. Ethan had seen many emergencies in his life, but something about tonight felt different. The sky was still glowing faintly from the crash, and the air smelled of metal and smoke. When the convoy finally reached the crash site, everyone fell silent. Half buried in the sand was a sleek silver ship unlike anything humans had built. Its surface was smooth like glass, but cracks of burning energy ran across its hull. Blue sparks flashed from broken panels, and strange symbols glowed weakly along its sides. This was not just any alien ship. It was clearly advanced, far beyond human technology. Before the humans could move closer, several figures stepped out of the broken ship. They were tall, wearing dark armor that reflected the firelight. Their helmets glowed with faint blue lines, and each one carried a weapon that hummed quietly with power. The human soldiers quickly stopped and raised their hands to show they meant no harm. The alien soldiers looked at them carefully, their body language tense and suspicious. One of them spoke through a translator device, his voice deep and sharp. "Humans, stay back. This situation does not concern you." The commander of the human security team nodded slowly and respected their warning. But then something else happened. Two alien soldiers carried a stretcher out of the ship. On it lay an alien woman. Her pale silver skin looked weak and cold, and dark blue blood stained the fabric beneath her body. Her breathing was shallow, and every second she looked closer to death. Dr. Ethan Carter felt his heart tighten as he watched. Even though she was alien, he could see the signs clearly: severe trauma, heavy blood loss, and possibly internal damage. She needed medical help immediately. But the alien soldiers quickly moved her toward a small portable medical unit from their ship. The alien commander spoke again. "Our technology will handle this. Humans are not required." Ethan studied the machines they were preparing. They were advanced, yes, but the woman's condition was getting worse very quickly. Her body was shaking, and the machines had not even started working yet. Ethan had seen this before in human hospitals. Sometimes waiting even 1 minute too long could mean the difference between life and death. He stepped forward carefully, ignoring the warning looks from the soldiers beside him. "She doesn't have much time," Ethan said calmly. The alien commander turned toward him slowly, his glowing helmet focusing on the human doctor. "You will step back, human." Ethan shook his head, his voice steady but respectful. "I'm a doctor. I can help her." The alien soldiers exchanged quiet sounds that almost sounded like laughter. One of them spoke in a cold tone. "A human doctor? Your species barely understands its own biology." Ethan did not react to the insult. Instead, he kept his eyes on the injured woman. Her breathing was becoming weaker, and the color of her skin was fading fast. Ethan knew one terrible truth. If no one acted immediately, she would die right here in the sand. He took another small step forward. "Your machines may work," Ethan said quietly, "but they will take time to start. She doesn't have that time." The desert wind blew softly across the crash site, carrying smoke and sparks into the dark sky. For a moment, nobody moved. Then one of the alien medics looked down at the woman and spoke urgently in his own language. The translator struggled to keep up, but the meaning became clear. Her heart rate was dropping rapidly. Ethan spoke again, this time more firmly. "If you wait any longer, she will die." The alien commander stared at him for several long seconds, as if measuring the human standing in front of him. Finally, he said something quiet to his soldiers. They hesitated, unsure. The commander then looked directly at Ethan Carter. "You claim you can save her life?" Ethan nodded once. I will try. The alien commander stepped closer, his tall, armored figure towering over the human doctor. His voice became colder and more serious. Human, understand this clearly, he said. The woman you see before you is extremely important to our people. Ethan glanced at the injured alien again, realizing the situation might be bigger than he thought. The commander continued slowly. If you fail, her death will be your responsibility. Ethan took a deep breath, then calmly rolled up the sleeves of his medical jacket. Far above them, the smoke from the crashed ship drifted into the stars, and on the cold desert ground, a single human doctor prepared to attempt the most impossible operation of his life. Before we continue this incredible story, if you enjoy emotional HFY science fiction stories like this one, please consider subscribing to this channel so you never miss the next adventure, because what happens next will change the future of humans and aliens forever. The cold desert wind moved slowly across the crash site while tension filled the air. The alien soldiers stepped aside just enough to allow Dr. Ethan Carter to approach the portable medical unit. Even though their faces were hidden behind glowing helmets, their body language showed clear doubt and distrust. To them, this human doctor looked small, weak, and completely unqualified to treat one of their own. But Ethan ignored their silent judgment and focused only on the injured alien woman lying. On the stretcher, her breathing had become faint and uneven, and the strange blue blood on her skin had already begun to darken. A quiet alarm sound came from the alien medical scanner beside her, flashing symbols that none of the humans could understand. Ethan quickly knelt beside her and studied her carefully. Even though her biology was alien, some things were still familiar. She had a heart, lungs, blood vessels, and a nervous system. Her body shape was close enough to human anatomy that Ethan could guess what was happening inside her. He gently placed 2 fingers near her neck where a pulse might be found. For a moment, he felt nothing. Then finally, a very weak and slow rhythm touched his fingertips. Her heart was still beating, but only barely. Behind him, the alien medics began setting up their advanced equipment. Small floating drones hovered above the stretcher, while glowing screens appeared in the air. Strange robotic arms extended from the portable unit and scanned the injured woman's body with thin beams of light. The technology was impressive, far beyond anything the human colony owned. But Ethan noticed something worrying. The machines were still running diagnostics instead of treatment. He turned toward the alien commander. How long until your system starts the operation? Ethan asked quickly. The commander answered in a calm but distant voice. The medical unit must complete a full biological analysis first. Only then will it begin treatment. Ethan felt a knot tighten in his stomach. How long will that take? Approximately 6 minutes, the commander replied. Ethan immediately looked back at the alien woman. 6 minutes might sound short to someone else, but to a doctor it was an eternity when a patient was already dying. Her breathing had become even slower now, and the weak pulse under his fingers was fading. Ethan had seen patients die in less time than that. He spoke firmly. She doesn't have 6 minutes. The alien medics paused and stared at him, clearly annoyed that a human kept interrupting their procedure. One of them replied coldly through the translator. Our technology is designed for maximum survival probability. Interfering could reduce her chances. Ethan shook his head slowly. Waiting will reduce her chances to 0. For a moment, the group fell silent again. The sound of burning metal from the crashed ship crackled in the background, while sparks floated into the dark sky. The alien commander seemed to study Ethan carefully, as if trying to understand what kind of creature this human was. Finally, the commander spoke again. Human doctor, what exactly do you plan to do? Ethan pointed toward the woman's chest. Her heart is failing. She's losing blood pressure fast. If I can stabilize her heart and control the bleeding, she might survive long enough for your machines to finish their work. One alien medic gave a quiet, mocking sound. And how will a primitive human accomplish that without our technology? Ethan reached into his emergency medical bag and calmly pulled out a few simple tools, bandages, injectors, and a small portable scanner that looked very old compared to the alien equipment. With this, he answered. The alien soldiers exchanged confused looks. Some of them clearly believed the human was about to make a terrible mistake, but the commander raised one hand and allowed Ethan to continue. Ethan moved quickly now. Years of emergency training guided every motion he made. First, he pressed the portable scanner against the woman's chest and watched the weak signals appear on its small screen. The pattern confirmed his fear. Her heart rhythm was dangerously unstable. If it stopped completely, even the alien machines might not bring her back. He took a deep breath and prepared an injector filled with a powerful stimulant used in human emergency medicine. The dose had to be guessed carefully because he had never treated an alien before. Too much could destroy her heart. Too little would do nothing. The alien medic watching beside him spoke sharply. "You cannot know the correct dosage for her species." Ethan answered without looking up, "No, I can't." For a brief moment his hands paused above the injector. Then he added quietly, "But doing nothing will definitely kill her." With steady hands he pressed the injector against the alien woman's neck and delivered the medicine. Everyone around him watched closely, waiting for the result. For a few seconds, nothing happened. The desert wind moved softly through the broken metal around them. The alien machines continued their slow scanning process, completely unaware of the desperate gamble Ethan had just taken. Then suddenly the woman's body jerked slightly. The weak signal on Ethan's scanner jumped upward. Her heart rate increased for a moment, strong enough to bring a small breath in her lungs. A murmur spread through the alien soldiers. Even their commander seemed slightly surprised. But Ethan's relief lasted only a second, because the scanner suddenly screamed with a loud warning sound. The rhythm of her heart began jumping wildly, faster and faster, completely out of control. One of the alien medics shouted in alarm, "Cardiac failure approaching." Ethan's eyes widened as he realized the medicine had triggered a dangerous reaction inside her alien biology. Her pulse spiked once, twice. Then the signal on the scanner dropped sharply. The screen went almost flat. Ethan placed his fingers against her neck again, desperately searching for a heartbeat. But this time there was nothing. The alien woman's heart had stopped. A shocked silence fell over the crash site. One of the alien medics stepped back and spoke grimly. "It is finished." Another soldier muttered quietly, "The human has killed her." But Dr. Ethan Carter did not move away from the stretcher. Instead, he looked down at the lifeless alien woman and spoke in a calm but determined voice. "No, not yet." Then he placed both hands firmly on her chest and prepared to do something the alien doctors had never seen before, something that would either save her life or prove them all right about the foolish human doctor. A heavy silence fell over the crash site as the alien woman lay motionless on the stretcher. The scanner beside Dr. Ethan Carter showed almost no life signal, only a thin, fading line moving slowly across the small human device. The alien medics stepped back, their body language calm but certain. To them, the situation was already finished. In their experience, when a heart stopped completely, recovery was almost impossible without advanced medical systems already connected to the patient, and those systems were still completing their slow analysis. One of the alien soldiers spoke quietly through the translator, "The human has failed." Another added coldly, "We warned them not to interfere." But Ethan Carter ignored every voice around him. His full attention was on the lifeless alien woman lying before him. He had seen this moment many times his career back on Earth and in distant colonies, the moment when everyone else believed a patient was already gone. But Ethan had learned something important during years of emergency medicine. Sometimes a body only needed someone stubborn enough to refuse giving up. He placed both hands firmly in the center of the woman's chest and began pressing down in a steady rhythm. The alien soldiers immediately reacted with confusion. "What is he doing?" one of them asked. The alien medics looked closer, studying the strange human method. Ethan continued pushing down again and again, forcing pressure into her chest with controlled force. His movements were strong but careful, following a pattern learned through years of training. One alien medic spoke in disbelief. "He is manually compressing the thoracic cavity." Another replied with confusion. "But why?" Ethan answered between breaths while continuing the compressions. "Because when the heart stops, someone has to move the blood." The translator struggled to keep up with his words, but the meaning slowly reached the aliens. In their advanced medical systems, machines always handled circulation support. No one had ever considered doing it manually. The idea seemed primitive, almost desperate. But Ethan continued without stopping. Press, release again and again, forcing artificial circulation through the alien woman's body. Sweat began forming on his forehead, despite the cold desert air. Every compression pushed blood toward her brain and vital organs, buying precious seconds of time. After several moments, he paused briefly and placed 2 fingers against her neck again, searching for any sign of life. Still nothing. Behind him, the alien soldiers began whispering among themselves. Some believed the human was only delaying the inevitable. Others were quietly curious. Ethan inhaled deeply and resumed the compressions with even greater determination. His hands moved faster now, pressing with perfect rhythm. Then he turned slightly toward the nearby medical bag and grabbed another injector. This one contained a powerful cardiac stimulant used in extreme human emergencies, a drug rarely needed and never tested on alien biology. One alien medic stepped forward immediately. "Human, you are risking catastrophic biological failure." Ethan did not look at him. "She already is catastrophic biological failure," he replied calmly. The alien commander watched silently as Ethan prepared the second injection. His glowing helmet focused entirely on the human doctor's actions. Ethan leaned close to the woman and injected the medicine directly into a vein near her shoulder. Then he immediately resumed the chest compressions again. The seconds passed slowly. Each moment felt longer than the last. Press, release, press, release. The alien scanner beside them continued showing a nearly flat signal. One of the soldiers shook his head quietly. "This is pointless." But just as the words left his mouth, something unexpected happened. The faintest movement appeared on Ethan's scanner. A small spike, barely noticeable. Ethan stopped compressions for half a second and quickly checked her pulse again. Still weak, but something was there. A murmur spread through the alien group. "Did the signal change?" one medic asked quickly. Ethan resumed compressions again, helping the weak rhythm strengthen. Then suddenly the alien woman's chest rose sharply as her body pulled in a deep breath. The scanner beside Ethan jumped with new signals. Her heart began beating again, slow and unsteady, but alive. Several alien soldiers stepped forward in shock. One medic spoke with clear disbelief. "Cardiac activity has returned." Another added quietly, "This should not be possible." Ethan slowly sat back for a moment, breathing heavily from the intense effort. His hands were shaking slightly from exhaustion, but a small smile appeared on his face. "She's not giving up," he said softly. The alien commander moved closer and studied the revived woman carefully. Even through the armored helmet, his surprise was obvious. But Ethan's attention quickly returned to the patient, because something else on the scanner caught his eye. The heart rhythm was stabilizing, but another reading looked dangerously wrong. Her blood oxygen levels were dropping again, and strange patterns appeared within the chemical analysis. Ethan frowned and quickly used his portable scanner to examine a small sample of the blue blood on the stretcher cloth. The device processed the sample slowly, struggling to interpret the alien biology. When the result appeared, Ethan's expression became serious. "This isn't just trauma," he said quietly. The alien medics looked at him immediately. "What do you mean?" one demanded. Ethan held up the scanner so they could see the abnormal chemical signals. "There's a toxic compound in her bloodstream," he explained, "something that doesn't belong there." The alien medics quickly ran their own scans using their advanced equipment. Seconds later, their screens confirmed the same result. One medic spoke in a tense voice, "Foreign toxin detected." The alien commander turned slowly toward the burning wreck of the ship behind them. "If she was poisoned," he said quietly. Ethan finished the thought in a low voice. "Then this crash wasn't an accident." A deep silence spread across the crash site once again, because if someone had poisoned the injured alien woman before the crash, then the real danger might not be the damage to the ship. The real danger could still be somewhere nearby, watching, waiting, and possibly preparing to finish what they started. The discovery of the toxin changed the entire atmosphere at the crash site. Only minutes earlier, everyone believed the disaster was only a tragic accident caused by a damaged ship falling from the sky. But now a far darker possibility had appeared. Someone had poisoned the alien woman before the crash. And that meant one terrifying truth: the enemy might still be close. Dr. Ethan Carter carefully adjusted the medical band around the alien woman's arm, while the portable scanners around them continued monitoring her fragile condition. Her heart was beating again, but it was still weak and unstable. The toxin inside her blood was spreading slowly through her body like silent fire. If it reached critical organs, her recovery would become impossible. Ethan looked to the alien medics standing beside him. "Can your system identify the poison?" he asked. One of the medics tapped quickly on a glowing panel floating in the air. Symbols moved rapidly across the screen while the translator converted the information. "Analysis in progress," the medic said, "but the compound appears unfamiliar." Another medic added with visible concern, "It does not match any toxin registered in our medical archives." Ethan frowned slightly. That was bad news. If even the advanced alien database could not recognize the poison, creating a treatment would become extremely difficult. Behind them, the alien commander was already giving rapid orders to his soldiers. His voice echoed sharply through the translator as he spoke in his native language. Immediately, several armored soldiers moved away from the stretcher and began surrounding the damaged ship, scanning every corner of the wreckage with glowing devices. "Search the entire vessel," the commander ordered. "No one leaves the area until we know what happened." The human security team also began helping, spreading across the crash site while keeping a careful distance from the alien technology. The desert night had grown strangely quiet. The only sounds were the crackling fire from the broken ship and the distant wind moving across the sand dunes. Ethan returned his attention to the injured woman. Even though her breathing had stabilized slightly, the toxin was still present in her bloodstream. Her silver skin had developed faint dark patterns along her neck and arms, signs that the poison was slowly attacking her cells. He spoke quietly to the nearest alien medic. "If we can slow the toxin, we might buy more time." The medic nodded, but looked uncertain. "Without knowing the chemical structure, we risk making the reaction worse." Ethan understood the danger. Alien biology could react unpredictably to human medicine, but doing nothing might allow the poison to destroy her organs completely. Just as Ethan began preparing another diagnostic scan, a sudden voice shouted from near the wrecked ship. "Commander, you need to see this." Everyone immediately turned toward the damaged vessel. Two alien soldiers were standing beside a torn section of the hull. One of them was holding a small metallic object carefully with a scanning tool. The commander walked quickly toward them, his tall, armored figure reflecting the flickering light of the burning wreckage. "What did you find?" he demanded. The soldier held up the object so everyone could see it. It was a thin black device no larger than a human finger, covered in strange circuitry and glowing with faint red energy. "A sabotage unit," the soldier reported. It was attached to the ship's primary navigation core. A cold silence spread across the group. The commander studied the device closely before speaking again. "This confirms it." Ethan walked closer, curious and uneasy. "You mean the crash was planned?" The commander nodded slowly. "Yes." He turned slightly toward the burning ship, his voice becoming darker. "Someone wanted this vessel destroyed." One of the alien medics stepped forward nervously. "But why target this specific ship?" The commander hesitated for a moment before answering, as if deciding whether to reveal something important. Finally, he spoke quietly. "Because the woman you saved is not an ordinary passenger." Ethan looked back toward the stretcher where the injured alien woman rested under the scanning lights. "Who is she?" Ethan asked. The commander's helmet lights dimmed slightly as he answered. "She is Princess Lyra." The words seemed to freeze the air around them. Even the alien soldiers reacted with sudden tension. "She is the daughter of one of the most powerful leaders in our empire," the commander continued. If she dies, it could trigger a war between multiple star systems. Ethan felt a heavy realization settle in his mind. This situation had become far bigger than a medical emergency. Saving her life might prevent a massive interstellar conflict. But before anyone could speak again, something unexpected happened. The lights inside the portable medical unit flickered suddenly. A low electrical hum filled the air as several screens blinked rapidly. Ethan turned toward the stretcher just as the medical scanner displayed a sharp warning signal. "What's happening?" he asked quickly. One alien medic looked at his console in alarm. "Power disruption detected." Another added urgently, "Our system is losing energy supply." Then, without warning, the entire crash site went dark. The glowing screens disappeared. The scanning drones shut down, and the bright lights surrounding the stretcher died instantly, leaving only the distant fire of the broken ship casting weak orange shadows across the sand. For a moment, nobody moved. The sudden darkness felt unnatural, heavy, and tense. Then one alien soldier spoke in a worried voice. "Commander, the ship's power core was not connected to the medical unit." The commander slowly turned his helmet toward the silent wreckage. "Then this outage did not come from the crash," he said quietly. A cold realization passed through the group. If the power failure was not caused by the damaged ship, then someone had shut it down deliberately. And somewhere in the darkness around them, the hidden enemy might already be moving closer. The sudden darkness around the crash site felt heavy and unnatural. The bright medical lights that had been protecting Princess Lyra moments earlier were gone, leaving only the distant orange glow of burning metal from the damaged ship. Long shadows stretched across the sand while the cold desert wind carried the smell of smoke and electricity through the air. For several seconds, nobody spoke, because everyone understood that this was no simple power failure. Someone had shut the systems down. On purpose. Dr. Ethan Carter immediately turned back toward the stretcher where the alien princess lay. Without the medical scanners, her condition was impossible to monitor properly. Her breathing was still weak and uneven, and the poison inside her blood was slowly spreading. Ethan could not allow anything to interrupt her treatment now. He quickly opened his medical bag again and pulled out a small portable light attached to his wrist device. A soft white beam illuminated the princess's pale silver face, revealing the faint dark lines of toxin still moving under her skin. Ethan checked her pulse carefully. It was still there, weak but steady. "Stay with me," he whispered quietly to the unconscious patient, even though he knew she could not hear him. Behind him, the alien soldiers had already activated emergency lights on their armor. Thin blue beams cut through the darkness as they formed a defensive circle around the medical area. Their weapons hummed softly as they scanned the shadows around the crash site. The alien commander's voice echoed through the translator with sharp authority. "All units report status immediately." One soldier answered from near the ship. "Navigation core area secure." Another voice came from the opposite side of the wreckage. "Cargo hold empty, no movement detected." But then a third voice responded with hesitation. "Commander, there is unusual activity inside the lower corridor." The commander turned sharply toward the broken entrance of the ship. "Explain." "Motion sensors triggered for a brief moment," the soldier reported, but the signal disappeared before confirmation. The commander's helmet lights dimmed slightly as he processed the information. "Someone is moving inside the vessel," he said quietly. The realization spread quickly among the soldiers. If the saboteur had survived the crash, they could still be hiding somewhere inside the damaged ship, waiting for the perfect moment to finish their mission. Ethan listened to the conversation while continuing his work beside the stretcher. He knew exactly what that mission was. Princess Lyra was the target, and if the assassin succeeded, the consequences could be catastrophic for both alien and human worlds. One alien medic beside Ethan spoke nervously. "Commander, if the attacker reaches this area while the medical systems are offline, the princess will be completely defenseless." The commander did not hesitate. "Then they will not reach this area." He turned toward 3 of his soldiers. "Search the interior corridors immediately. The rest of you hold this position." The armored soldiers moved quickly toward the damaged ship entrance, their blue lights disappearing into the dark interior passage. Inside the wreckage, the air was thick with smoke and drifting sparks from broken systems. Pieces of metal and shattered panels covered the floor, making every step echo loudly through the empty corridors. The search team moved slowly and carefully, weapons raised, scanning every shadow for movement. Outside, Ethan continued focusing on his patient. He cleaned part of the wound along Lyra's side, where the crash had torn through the ship wall. Even in the weak light, he could see the injury was serious, but not immediately fatal. The real danger was still the toxin moving through her bloodstream. Ethan muttered quietly to himself while checking the wound. Whoever poisoned you really wanted to make sure you didn't survive. Just then, a sudden burst of static came through the alien communication channel, followed by a loud metallic sound echoing from inside the ship. Everyone outside froze instantly. The commander spoke sharply into the communicator. "Search team, report." For several seconds, there was only silence. Then finally one soldier answered in a tense whisper. "Commander, we found signs of forced access in the engineering hallway." "What kind of signs?" the commander demanded. "Hidden maintenance panel opened from the inside," the soldier replied. "Someone was hiding there during the crash." A cold feeling ran through Ethan's chest as he heard those words. The assassin had survived the impact and had been hiding inside the ship the entire time. Before the commander could respond, another loud noise echoed from the darkness of the vessel. This time it sounded like a heavy door slamming shut somewhere deep inside the corridor. The search team's voices suddenly became urgent. "Movement detected," one soldier shouted. "Target running toward the outer exit," another added. The commander immediately turned toward the medical area, his voice calm but deadly serious. "Defensive positions," he ordered. Every alien soldier outside raised their weapons toward the broken entrance of the ship, waiting for whatever was coming out of the darkness. Ethan instinctively stepped closer to the stretcher, placing himself between the unconscious princess and the approaching danger. He knew he was not a soldier and had no weapon, but leaving her alone was not an option. The sound of fast footsteps suddenly echoed from inside the damaged vessel. Metal debris clattered across the floor as someone moved quickly through the wreckage. Then a dark figure appeared in the broken doorway. The mysterious alien was dressed in black tactical armor, different from the commander's soldiers, and in his hand he carried a compact energy weapon glowing with dangerous red light. Without hesitation, the attacker raised the weapon directly toward the medical area. One alien soldier shouted, "Stop immediately!" But the masked attacker ignored the warning, his glowing visor focusing only on the stretcher where Princess Lyra lay helpless. Ethan realized the terrifying truth in that moment. The assassin had not come to escape the crash site. He had come to finish the mission. Before the soldiers could fire, the attacker activated a small device on his armor. A bright pulse of energy exploded outward like a shockwave. Several alien soldiers were thrown backward by the sudden blast, their weapons dropping into the sand. In the chaos, the assassin rushed forward toward the stretcher with terrifying speed. Ethan grabbed the metal support frame of the medical unit and pulled it directly in front of Lyra's body like a shield. The attacker's weapon aimed straight at the doctor's chest, glowing brighter as it prepared to fire. For a single moment, the two figures stared at each other in the flickering firelight. A trained alien assassin and an unarmed human doctor standing between him and his patient. The weapon's energy core began charging with a rising humming sound, and Ethan Carter realized that in the next few seconds, his decision to protect the princess might cost him his life. For a single frozen moment, the entire crash site seemed to stop breathing. The red glow of the assassin's weapon reflected in the drifting smoke, while Dr. Ethan Carter stood firmly in front of the stretcher, shielding the unconscious Princess Lyra with nothing but his own body and the thin metal frame of the medical unit. The alien attacker's helmet visor glowed faintly as he studied the human standing in his way. It was clear he had expected soldiers, not an unarmed doctor willing to stand. Between him and his target, The weapon in the assassin's hand hummed louder as the energy core charged for a lethal shot. The red light grew brighter, casting a dangerous glow across the sand. One of the alien soldiers who had been thrown back by the earlier shockwave slowly tried to rise from the ground, but the blast had damaged his armor systems, leaving him temporarily unable to move. The alien commander struggled to stand as well, his weapon still lying several meters away. But the assassin's full attention remained fixed on Ethan Carter. "Step aside, human," the attacker said through a distorted voice translator built into his helmet. "This mission does not concern your species." Ethan did not move. His heart was pounding inside his chest, but his face remained calm and steady. "She's my patient," he answered quietly, "and I'm not letting you kill her." The assassin tilted his head slightly, almost as if confused by the response. "You would risk your life for a being that is not even part of your world?" the attacker asked coldly. Ethan gave a small, tired smile despite the danger. "That's kind of the job description," he replied. Behind him, Princess Lyra remained unconscious, her breathing still fragile and uneven. The toxin in her bloodstream had not disappeared, and without proper treatment, she could still die even if the assassin failed. But Ethan had already made his decision. A doctor's duty did not change simply because the patient came from another star system. The assassin's weapon hummed louder as the final charge built inside the energy chamber. "Your courage is meaningless," the attacker said. "You cannot stop this." Ethan slowly spread his arms slightly wider, blocking the stretcher completely. "Maybe not," he said calmly, "but I can slow you down." At that exact moment, the alien commander suddenly moved. With a burst of strength, he rolled across the sand and grabbed the fallen weapon beside him. "Down, human," the commander shouted. Ethan instantly dropped to the ground beside the stretcher, just as a bright blue energy bolt exploded across the crash site. The commander's shot struck the assassin's shoulder armor, sending sparks flying into the darkness. The attacker staggered backward, but did not fall. His armor absorbed most of the blast, but the impact forced him to retreat several steps. Immediately, the remaining alien soldiers recovered from the earlier shockwave and opened fire. Multiple blue energy beams streaked across the sand toward the attacker. The assassin reacted with incredible speed, activating a defensive shield that flickered around his armor like a transparent barrier. The incoming blast scattered across the shield's surface, lighting the night with flashes of blue and white. Realizing he was outnumbered, the attacker quickly stepped backward toward the broken entrance of the ship, firing several rapid shots to keep the soldiers away. One blast struck the ground near Ethan, sending sand and metal fragments flying into the air. But the alien soldiers continued advancing, slowly forcing the assassin toward the wreckage. The commander fired again, this time hitting the attacker's leg armor, damaging the stability system inside the suit. The assassin stumbled and fell to one knee, his shield flickering dangerously. Within seconds, two alien soldiers rushed forward and pinned him to the ground, disabling the weapon and locking his armor joints with magnetic restraints. The battle ended as quickly as it had begun. The crash site returned to uneasy silence once again, broken only by the crackling flames of the damaged ship. The commander approached the captured attacker slowly, his voice cold and controlled. "Your mission has failed," he said. The assassin gave a quiet laugh through the damaged translator. "You are too late," he replied. "The poison will finish what I started." Those words immediately pulled Ethan's attention back to the stretcher. He rushed to Princess Lyra's side and checked her pulse again. His expression grew serious almost instantly. The toxin in her bloodstream had accelerated during the chaos. The dark patterns beneath her silver skin had spread further across her neck and arms. Her breathing became weaker again. Ethan quickly grabbed his portable scanner, studying the chemical readings flashing across the small screen. One alien medic rushed beside him. "Her condition is deteriorating." "I know," Ethan replied quickly. He looked at the alien medical equipment that was slowly rebooting after the earlier power disruption. "We don't have time to wait for full analysis," he said. The alien commander stepped closer, still holding his weapon. "Then what do you suggest, human doctor?" Ethan hesitated for a moment, thinking rapidly through everything he knew about emergency medicine. Then an idea appeared in his mind, risky, experimental, and completely untested on alien biology. "There might be one option," Ethan said carefully. The alien medics looked at him with concern. "What option?" Ethan held up a small sealed container from his medical kit. Inside was a powerful human antitoxin compound designed to neutralize unknown poisons in emergency situations. "It's a universal stabilizer used in extreme poisoning cases," he explained, "but it's never been tested on alien blood chemistry." The alien commander studied the container carefully. "And the risk?" he asked. Ethan answered honestly. "It could save her life," he said. Then he paused before finishing the sentence. "Or it could shut down her organs completely." The alien medics exchanged worried looks while the captured assassin watched silently from the ground, almost amused by the situation. Finally, the commander turned his helmet toward the unconscious princess. Her breathing had grown dangerously shallow now. Every second brought her closer to death. The commander slowly looked back at Ethan Carter and spoke in a low voice. "Then it appears the fate of our princess is now in the hands of a human doctor." The cold desert wind moved slowly across the crash site as everyone stood in tense silence around the stretcher where Princess Lyra lay fighting for her life. The faint glow from the burning ship illuminated her pale, silver skin, while the dark patterns of toxin continued spreading beneath the surface like shadows moving through water. Her breathing had become shallow and weak, each breath slower than the last. And the portable scanner in Dr. Ethan Carter's hand showed a dangerous decline in her. Vital signals. Ethan stared at the small sealed container in his hand, the universal human antitoxin he had carried for years as part of his emergency kit. On humans, the medicine could neutralize many dangerous poisons, but alien biology was unpredictable. The chemical reaction could stabilize her blood, or it could cause total organ failure within seconds. The alien commander stood beside him, his tall armored figure silent and watchful. Several alien medics gathered around the stretcher, their glowing scanners slowly restarting after the earlier power failure, but the full diagnostic system would still take several minutes to complete its analysis. Minutes Princess Lyra clearly did not have. One of the alien medics spoke quietly through the translator. "Her heart rate continues to fall." Another added with concern, "The toxin has already reached critical circulation levels." Ethan took a slow breath and looked down at the unconscious princess. Even though she came from another world, in that moment she looked no different from any other patient he had treated during his life. Someone fragile, someone depending completely on the skill and courage of the doctor standing beside them. The alien commander finally spoke, his voice calm but heavy with responsibility. "Human doctor," he said, "if you believe this treatment gives her a chance, then you may proceed." Ethan nodded once, understanding the weight of the decision. But just as he prepared the injector, something unexpected happened. Princess Lyra's eyes suddenly opened slightly. The movement was weak and brief, but it caught everyone's attention immediately. Her glowing silver eyes struggled to focus in the dim firelight, and for a moment they locked directly onto Ethan's face. She was barely conscious, her voice almost too faint to hear, but the translator picked up the soft sound of her words. "Do it." The alien medics stared in surprise, but the commander slowly lowered his head in respect toward his injured princess. "The decision is yours," he said quietly to Ethan. Ethan did not hesitate any longer. He quickly prepared the injector and carefully inserted the needle into one of Lyra's veins. For a moment he paused, knowing that once the medicine entered her bloodstream, there would be no way to reverse the reaction. Then he pressed the injector, releasing the antitoxin into her blood. Everyone watched in complete silence. The seconds that followed felt painfully slow. At first nothing happened. Then suddenly Lyra's body reacted. Her muscles tightened and her breathing stopped for a brief, terrifying moment. The scanner in Ethan's hand began flashing rapidly with warning signals. One alien medic shouted in alarm. Her cellular activity is destabilizing. Another said urgently, toxin reaction accelerating. Ethan clenched his jaw but stayed focused on the scanner, waiting for the medicine to either succeed or fail. Lyra's heart rate spiked suddenly on the display, rising sharply before dropping again. For a moment, it looked as if her body was losing the fight completely. The alien soldiers around the crash site stood silently, watching the critical moment unfold under the dim glow of burning wreckage. Then something unexpected appeared on the scanner. The toxic chemical pattern inside Lyra's blood began changing, slowly at first, then faster. The antitoxin was breaking the poison apart at a molecular level, something even the alien medics had not expected. One medic leaned closer to the scanner in disbelief. "The toxin is destabilizing," he said quietly. Another quickly checked the advanced alien console that had just finished rebooting. "The reaction is neutralizing the poison," he confirmed. Ethan felt a wave of relief pass through him as the scanner signals slowly stabilized. Lyra's breathing returned, deeper and stronger than before, and the dark patterns under her skin began fading little by little. The alien commander looked down at the recovering princess in stunned silence. "You have saved her," he said slowly. Ethan leaned back slightly, exhaustion finally reaching him after the long and dangerous night. "I think she saved herself," he replied with a tired smile. Moments later, the alien medical unit fully activated and advanced scanners surrounded Lyra once again, confirming that the toxin had been successfully neutralized. The alien medics worked quickly to stabilize her injuries and begin proper recovery treatment. But the most dangerous part of the battle had already been won. Nearby, the captured assassin remained restrained under guard, watching the scene quietly. His mission completely failed. The alien commander eventually turned back toward Ethan Carter. For several seconds, he simply studied the human doctor as if seeing him for the first time. Finally, he spoke. "In our records, humans are described as a young species, technologically inferior to many civilizations," he said slowly. Then he gestured toward the recovering princess. "Yet tonight, a human doctor succeeded where our advanced systems failed." Ethan shrugged lightly, still tired but calm. "Technology helps," he said, "but sometimes what really matters is refusing to give up." The commander nodded slowly, clearly understanding the meaning behind those words. Far above them, the night sky had begun to clear as the smoke from the crash drifted away into the stars. What had started as a deadly sabotage mission meant to trigger war between star systems had ended in a completely unexpected way. Because one human doctor had chosen to risk everything to save a life that was not even part of his own world. In the days that followed, the story of that night would spread across multiple star systems. A story about courage, compassion, and the strange strength of humanity. And from that moment forward, many alien civilizations would begin to see humans in a completely different way. Not as a weak young species, but as a people capable of extraordinary courage when it mattered most.